The broadcast is live.
We are live. We are live. We are live.
Hey, everybody. For
Hey,
everybody.
everybody. We are here to discuss. We told you guys yesterday on the podcast that we would get together today to discuss American Son. So we're gonna give you guys a little bit of what is I don't know what that I don't know. I think it's like me. I don't know what it is. Um yeah, I hear myself. Turn your volume off so you can't hear me. Oh, wait, then you won't be able to hear me. Duh. Can you hear me now? Okay. Hey, what's up, Nap? Hey, Abby. Okay, so all right, so turn it on. Turn it back on. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, it's not. I don't know what it was. Anyway, so yeah, so we're here to discuss American Son. I hope you guys have had an opportunity to check it out on Netflix. It dropped on November the 1st, and it's actually based on the play that Kerry Washington was doing on Broadway. Now, hey Renee. Now I'm going to say this. I have no idea.
Hey, Abby. Hey, what's that? Neptarian.
Neptarian. He's down in the boot. Hey, Miss Diva Miller, how you doing? Are you watching it now? Okay.
Oh, she said she like. Oh, Neptarian is watching it. Okay, so Neptarian, we're going to talk about it and talk about spoilers and everything. So if you want to cut us off for now and come back, cool.
Yeah, but we want to talk freely, Nep. So I don't want to give you any spoilers, baby. Miss Diva, you said you liked the movie. You didn't see the trailer. Didn't know what to expect. I saw the trailer, but I had an idea. Was based on the play, and what's interesting is that you only see 4 people the whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
You only see 4 people the whole movie. The main character obviously is Kerry Washington's character, and then her husband, the police officer, and then the detective that comes in. Yeah, you don't have any earphones because it's the sound back. It's like every time I talk, I can hear myself talking back.
I'm in the room, the land is forgotten.
I know, right? Oh, you watched it twice with your son? Oh, wow. It's actually a good conversation to have. What's up, Faith? It's actually a good conversation piece to have with your son, actually. I'm going to mute.
Asbat.
Okay, you back?
Yes.
All right.
Now, Abby says she can't hear anything.
Oh, they can't hear me. Oh, you know what? My dumb butt hit the wrong mute button, y'all. That was me. I hit the wrong mute button, y'all. Don't worry about me. I'm so silly. Now I'm giving you hella color tease. You be quiet, Nep. And Nep, you know sign language, so you know I wasn't giving you no sign language, honey. Okay. All right. So you have a... Okay.
Can y'all hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I did, Face. I muted myself, not me. Ain't that crazy? Duh. Anyway, hit the wrong button. So yeah, so I was just saying that the movie, hey Latrice, how you doing, baby? So Don't spread all my traits. But you do sign language when you do sometimes on your videos, Nep. You do sign language sometimes. But yeah, so I was just saying that the movie is based on the play that starred Kerry Washington, and also what I saw was that she executive produced the movie. Now, what my first thing was when I saw that she had actually done this play, I remember her doing it. I remember hearing about her doing this play. But in my mind, I was thinking, how in the world did she pull these emotions together night after night after night? I can't imagine what she would have had to go through to get herself ready to do this play every night. Hey, Elsie, we just getting started. This play every night. Okay, I can hear myself, Elsie.
Yeah, now I have an echo from you. I hear your echo.
My phone. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh gosh, he's a
my phone on. Sorry.
He's a 49ers fan.
Yeah.
You mad?
Her husband is 49ers. Oh, okay. She got her Green Bay. I mean, I got on my Redskins. Well, not this, but I got on my Redskins.
Well, no, my husband is a 49ers fan. So
your husband is a smart man, real smart man.
Yeah, he married me. That's about all.
You say he mean
because he married me, you know.
Oh, because he married you. Well, okay.
Yeah. I think I saw Face in the chat. Hey, Face. Hey.
Where's Face?
Face in here.
Oh.
Hey,
he said I muted myself. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Hey, everybody. Hey, everybody.
All right. We got all the technical difficulties out the way, I think. All right. So the movie American Son. So you said the first episode, is this supposed to be a series or is it just the movie?
I thought it was just the movie.
I thought it was just the movie too.
It is just a movie.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, that's what I thought. Okay. So
I'm sorry. Before we get into it, I want to handle some. Yesterday I said I couldn't find my big wine glass. I thought my husband broke it. I apologize to my husband officially because I accused him officially. So I want to put it out there, set the record straight. The glass is not broken. It is in the house. He actually put it up just in the spot that I normally don't put up in. So it's an angry man. I apologize publicly. So I just want to clear the record with that. Okay.
Well, we are so happy because, angry man gets such a bad rap. So I am so happy that you apologize to Angry Man because he gets such a bad rap. Hey, Tanya, how you doing?
Hey, Tanya.
So first of all, we won't get into too many thoughts, but did you like it or did you not like it? Overall, did you like it? Mink and then El Teddy. Just like it or not like it?
Liked it.
El Teddy?
I liked it.
Okay. Overall, I did too. So I guess we'll just go piece by piece. We start the movie off with, we see Kerry Washington's character talking to the police officer. Clearly there is something wrong. She is clearly distraught. She's looking for someone. She's on the phone, making that phone call you make when you're looking for somebody. I didn't know if they were in a hospital or if they were in a police station. Actually, at first I thought they were in her house. Until the man went over to the box of donuts. I was like, well, she just got a box of donuts laying around. But then I realized that they were not in her home.
I would. But
so first thoughts, when you first just saw the first thing unravel it, first thoughts, I'll go to El Teddy then Mink this time.
Mm-hmm.
I think at first, I think that they tried to give you just her with the play, they try to do the same thing. I think that the writers tried to pull you in and make you sympathetic to her and her plight. And so the aesthetics of the role, it being a stormy night, all this, that, and the third going on outside. She's worried. She's nervous because you did feel like she was at home because she was calling the son and so forth. She kept calling and calling and calling. And so I thought that they really tried to bring you in and make you initially sympathetic to her, which I think sometimes is bad because it doesn't allow you to really unpack everything that's going on. Because I did feel sympathetic to her, but by the end of the movie, I was totally not on her side. I was totally against her for most of the movie. But we'll get to that later.
Okay, Mink.
Same thing when it initially first 5 minutes. I thought because of the weather, the way the windows, it was a nice decor. I thought it was inside of her home. I had seen the trailer, so I know eventually they would get to a police station. But first watching, I thought that they were in her home. So I like the way. Now, as you said, how they slowly unpack. I like the slow unpacking of it because it made me it's like a roller coaster, that slow creep up the hill and then it drops you down and takes you around the loops. So I like how they took you through the emotions of it.
Yeah, for me, I did too. And I'm like with El Teddy. I knew something was wrong in the sauce when she had that initial conversation with the police officer and he asked her, I mean, granted, he asked her a bunch of stuff that was a little crazy, but he asked her, did were y'all arguing? Was he upset about something when he left the house? And she was like, no. And then as soon as he left the room, she leaves that voicemail for her son saying, I know we both said some things we didn't mean. I said, okay, so we already know that she is not being 100% honest in this scenario. Now, I understand her being upset at the, does he have any gold teeth? Does he have any street nicknames or anything? But let me ask y'all a question. And Meek, you are the mother of a son. El Teddy, you are a Black man who obviously was once a young man. You still look like you 10, but that's another conversation.
I was about to say I'm still young.
So let him have it.
Was the police officer too off base by asking those questions? Are those common questions that a police officer would ask, or were they so off base, so out of pocket?
I think he was straight out of pocket. Regardless of how he felt towards her personally, or how he felt towards us as a people, he was in the wrong. His first initial approach to her as a public servant, to me, was completely wrong, because I would have cussed him out. Me personally, I'm trying to find my son, and you want to ask me if he got gold teeth and he got a street name, or AKA he got this. Motherfucker, I told you no. Stop asking me. Now, and I do understand her lying about whether they had an argument or not, because in the grand scheme of things, if my son is missing, the terms on which he left the house may not necessarily be relevant to right now. Because in all honesty, as he just turned 18. So in my mind, he's still a child. So a 17, 18-year-old who's missing, whether because he ran away or because he left and somebody took him, it still could be in danger. So that's why I thought that was irrelevant.
El Teddy, as a young Black man, how did that hit you?
Well, even more so than that, the story is set in Miami. So, and we'll get to it later, there are a lot of local references that they had that
because of David Makes Man. I picked up on some of the references.
But I don't think he was completely out of pocket, only because one is Miami, and as someone who lives in Miami, I am a Black man. And if you came and told me, and I was a police officer, that your Black son was missing, I probably would go through this battery of questions, because some of the things he were asking is just common for Black boys living in Miami. Just know that is the norm. So I would now, the tenor and tone behind which he was doing it he was out of control. He should have asked it a little more, he should have been a little more strategic with how he did that. The other thing that bothered me, that to me, y'all know I always get to what's bad writing to me. The entirety of the night, what bothered me was there's no way in the world you are a police officer, someone has been taken into custody or something has happened, and you tell me you can't tell me anything, or you don't know nothing, or it's nothing in the books. I've been to Miami-Dade County Public, police department many times to bail people out of jail, to go, see the court and all of this stuff. I'm well connected. I ain't here for it. That
well,
police
I'm gonna be honest. Yeah.
But that's what happened to
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
That's what happened to Trayvon Martin. Not Trayvon Martin. I'm sorry. Unfortunately, so many young man with the hood.
Trayvon Martin.
Okay. If I remember correctly, is that not what happened to him? His parents a missing police report. That's when it first happened.
No.
They say
No, Trayvon Martin was shot in the backyard and his body was still there.
But I know, but wasn't it some time had passed when his parents were looking for him?
Yeah, they didn't make the connection.
They didn't make the connection.
And the missing persons report. It was a little bit of lag. So let me say something real quick let me say a couple of things before we keep going. I'm reading the chat. I apologize. I did not put in the description that there would be spoilers. So if anyone is in the chat that has not watched it, I apologize that I didn't put that in the description, that we are going to be talking freely about the movie. So I do not want to spoil it for anybody. I do not want anybody to be like, dang, they ain't tell me. I apologize. I did not put that in the description. So my feelings won't be hurt if you leave because you haven't watched it yet, because I do not want to spoil it for anyone. So my bad. The second thing, Abby, are you on the road right now? Are you currently driving right now? Because if you want to come on in and join us, you can. I thought you were going to be on your way back home, so I didn't want to.
Kelly Love did a review on it too. I think I saw on his timeline. I think he did one too. Duchess, didn't you? I think it was in a row.
He did. Yeah, he did a video, but he just did it as a recommendation. He didn't really talk about. He just recommended it. Yeah, he did as a recommendation. So that's why I wanted to just I just wanted to say that, because I see a couple of people saying they haven't seen it yet, and I do not want to spoil it because it is. I think it's awesome. Even if we don't necessarily, I think it's awesome, and I definitely think it's a great conversation piece. But I don't want to ruin it for anybody who has not watched it, because I want to speak freely. I don't want to have to worry about spoiling it for anybody. I want to speak freely. So with that being said, yeah, Abby, I don't want you, if you're driving, I don't want you to come on. But if you're sitting somewhere stationary and you want to come on, let me know. Send me a text and I'll shoot you the link, because I know you watched it. I know you watched it, and I know you did a review on your channel. So if you want to jump on the conversation, again, I thought you were going to be on your way home, so that's why I didn't send you the link. My bad, boo. It was not charge it to my head, not my heart. And once again, happy birthday, Abby. It is Abby's birthday.
Happy birthday.
We celebrated for about 4 hours last night, even after Abby went to bed, honey.
Yeah, if you missed that live last night, oh God, oh Lord.
I was asleep. I might have been asleep. I gotta go back and watch it.
It's gone now. It is forever in the archives because it was a mess. But we had a good time though. But anyway, I don't want to get sidetracked. So for me, I felt like some of his questions were out of line, but I did not feel like all of them were. For example, I did not feel like the tattoo question was out of line. Everybody got tattoos these days. I don't feel like the scars question, the tattoo question, the gold teeth. I was a little bit like, okay, now you playing.
See, gold teeth is a Miami thing. Miami, that's a go. You gotta ask that in Miami.
What I'm saying,
go to.
Okay, well, I'm saying for me, the go-to thing for me. I wasn't upset by the tattoo question. I wasn't even upset by the nickname question, because the reality of the situation is there are a lot of people who are called something different by their friends in the neighborhood or out in the streets than what they're called by their family. So I wasn't even offended by that, actually. I understood why she got offended. I do. But I wasn't necessarily offended. Does that make sense?
Can I say this too? And I just want to add this. And you saw this as something that kept reoccurring in the episode. Lord, in the movie. And then at one point it came to a head and she just came out and said, well, my son is this and this and this and this. And I sat there as teacher like, baby, your son will make a liar out of you.
Every time.
That you telling me your son is this, that, and the third. And it came out, and we'll get there at the end, that everything she thought about, it was untrue anyway. But I just didn't like that she always was, no, my son wouldn't do this. no, my son is this. My son, baby, your son will make every liar out of you in the world.
As a parent, I think what she was trying to drive home is you're trying to pinpoint my son as being this one-dimensional person, this bad black boy driving a car who did something wrong. She was trying to show him in life, because his condescending attitude and tone towards her, my son is so much more. My son is so much more than what you're trying to paint, the picture you're trying to paint of him right now, of probably a 5 or 10 minute interaction that you or the police overall had with him. As a parent, I think that's what I saw it as.
I didn't find him condescending in the beginning. I really didn't. In the beginning, I did not find him condescending. Again, do I think that he may not have been as racially sensitive as maybe he should have been? But I didn't find him I didn't, personally. Because, again, like El Teddy said, coming from the point of view of someone who knows that your children will make a liar out of you every time. The more she kept saying what her son wouldn't gonna do and didn't do, the more in my mind I was thinking, he doing everything. He doing everything she said he ain't doing.
And no, I believe, I understand. I remember being, under 21, and my mom thought, I don't think my mom necessarily thought I was that innocent.
No, your mama didn't. No, your mama, no.
But my mother always told me, know your kids for who and what they are. Like, she would tell somebody would say, oh, well, I came up to them and I did this or I did this. And she was like, no. But if somebody came and said, they said something to you and you cursed them out, yes. So I do get on that side of it, where she was parent blind to the capability of her son not being a child, but being an 18-year-old with his friends.
Here's what I thought throughout the movie. And they never said it, but this is what I thought. I thought that the officer was lying to her the entire time.
I agree.
Thought he knew exactly what happened, and they put him down there to keep her at bay until that guy came.
Yes.
He knew that it was drugs involved. He knew it was thugs and people with warrants and all kinds of stuff involved in all of this. And that's why he came and asked her all these questions, because there probably was a nickname and stuff that she knew about. And that's why I'm telling you, he knew, and he just didn't want to tell her. That's why he said, well, ma'am, I don't know anything. We have to wait for so and so. And I don't know why she didn't pick up that when they said you got to talk to, what was the title of the police officer? It was
the community relations. I knew
community relations. When they said that, I knew, oh, your son gone. Because they ain't talk to nobody like that. Yeah,
I didn't think he was
got arrested.
I didn't think he was gone, but I thought that it was more to it than I didn't think he was gone. Honestly,
I did.
Okay, well, let's not get to the end yet. Let's not get to the end.
So this is my thought with it. The whole time, I thought that they, like you said, El Teddy, that they were using him as a buffer until they were upstairs in the back or whatever, getting
it out.
So I didn't know
that dude had been there. That dude had been there. The liaison guy. Oh, he had been there, because trust and believe, he got that phone call 5 minutes after that happened, and he was he had been there for hours. They were
before she did.
They were trying to get it together. They were trying to get it together.
Yeah, they were getting their story together. They were all getting on one accord. How we going to present this to her?
Mm-hmm.
How we going to tell? I think what truly threw them for the loop was when the dad came in.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's get to that. When the dad came in, because the way he was handling her, his tone completely and utterly changed when he realized that the white guy his name was Stephen Pascal. That there as far as an officer on their side, that he was there for her. His tone kind of changed, and it did speed stuff up a little bit faster. And I think that made them try to change their story a little bit differently, because he's not only is he an officer, he's an FBI agent.
Yeah.
But that's why
remember when he showed up, when the husband showed up, old boy thought he was there to help him out. He didn't know who he just assumed, you here to help me out with this.
And he got real comfortable. He was like, yeah, this and this, and she about to go from something to ghetto and this bitch and all. And he was like what? And her husband was like, well, what happened? And I like the way he kind of played into it to see what else he could try to find out.
Right.
But I applaud them for being that calm up until that point. I don't know if I could have done it, but it's one of those things where you really never know what you will do until you're in that position, and nobody ever wants to be in that position.
Right. Okay, so now we introduce the husband. Now we saw her call the husband. We knew that there was some static between them. You could tell by that phone call that they weren't living together, and that there was some static there. So El Teddy, your first reaction when the I mean, I know you saw the play, so even go back to the play, I guess. Your first reaction when the husband shows up.
This is gonna come out so unpolitically correct. So
let it out
first. Oh Lord, I know how you feel about stuff like this. Oh Lord.
And this is no slight on people who date and marry outside of their race, because love is love. Hell, I date outside of my whatever. Anyway, my point is this. All of the stuff that she went, because you were surprised when the husband came and was white, yes, which changed the whole tone of the conversation. Because for all of this, don't assume this stuff about my son, this, that, and the third, and her having this jaded view to this police officer, and now her husband comes, who is law enforcement and who is white. Then I turn and look like, well, wait a minute, wait an entirely whole minute. Because I was like, all this stuff that you trying to be all this pro-black and sell me on, oh, how dare you, this, that, and the third. And I'm like, girl, it was off-putting. And that is when I first was off her side. When the husband showed up and I saw who the husband was, and he was this white police officer, I ain't by her no more. I was totally off her bandwagon. There was no more coming back from that. There was no more her garnering my sympathy. I looked at her sideways like,
So why did it change your sympathy towards her?
Because it waxed hollow. Because I started to, before she even started to say a lot of stuff, I pieced together. I said, now wait a minute, you self-loathing, because she tried to make it like, oh, you don't know what it's like for me. Because remember, before the husband came, she kept telling she asked the police officer, well, do you have a black son? That's this, that, and the third, and so forth. And so I was with her. I was like, yes, we in the struggle. And then you got this white police officer that's come in, and I'm like, now wait a minute. Now I was here for you for a little minute. It just waxed up because I said, oh. So because remember she kept saying, well, he comes from a well family. Oh, he goes to a good school, this, that, and the third. Oh, so you went over here and tried to erase and eliminate the fact that you are black. And now that it's come back to, haunt you, now it's the Tiger Woods and Bill Cosby syndrome, where you want to forget that you black until it's brought back to your attention. And now all of a sudden, oh, well, yes, I am black now. Oh, you black now. Oh, and your child black now too, and now I'm supposed to be sympathetic. But you was trying to raise him like he wasn't. I wasn't here for it. Wasn't here for it at all.
I'm not gonna say it totally changed. See, I did the exact opposite. For me, it brought validity to all that she was saying about her son not being what the stereotype, because we did raise him in a good neighborhood. He did go to a private school. We did, he wasn't raised, with certain things. To me, it lent validity to her argument of that's not my son. You have my son mixed up.
Well, those are usually the black kids that take those stereotypes to the extreme. They're the ones that be trying to be overly hood and overly, take it to the extreme to try and overcompensate for the fact that that's not where they truly are from. And they take those stereotypes and, exponentially that's what I find.
Yeah, well, go ahead, Megan. I'm just saying it took me to the opposite. Go ahead, Megan.
No, I was gonna say, and I like being in the middle because I in that point I am kind of on the fence about it because again I think she was just trying to show to the officer who and what her son was, other than what she viewed him by, because all he saw was a black boy, a black boy in his car, And the thing about it, like they said, it was an older Lexus, but they were just mad that this young black boy was in a Lexus. And it proves the fact of no matter how well we're raised, no matter how educated we are, no matter what we've accomplished, when it comes down to it, they see us as just another black person that has to be handled, dealt with, controlled, what have you. So even because of that, I kind of felt a little bit more sympathy for her, not because her son is more important than the other black son out here, but because you see the part she went to make sure her son was not a stereotype. And what happened? He's still put in that box. No matter what he accomplished, this young man was accepted to West Point. He's trying to join the military to defend the country as a whole, and you still see him as a young black thug, no matter what.
But well, I'm gonna go with you, Mink, because at that time in the story, yes. At that time in the movie, yes. All of that at that time in the movie, absolutely, yes. You are right.
Yeah, and that's what I was getting ready to say. I was going to say that. So before I go to the next thing, did you notice because I knew the boy was mixed when she described him, and she said he had light green eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And the police officer looked at her like, "Yeah, you're lying." Like, I know he wanted to say without contacts, what color his eyes. I know that's what he wanted to ask. But you're right, El Teddy. Now, as the mother and father begin to dialogue, we start to learn more about Jamal. We start to learn that Jamal is wearing cornrows. We start to learn that Jamal is now wearing his pants baggy, hanging off his butt. We start to learn that he's starting to hang out with kids that are not kids that he was raised around. So and once again, it goes back to Kerry Washington lying to the police officer, which goes back to El Teddy saying he knew all along that all of that was a lie. So that might add to his condescending attitude towards Kerry Washington, not because she was a black woman, but because he knew she was lying.
She was lying. And then when she started to dialogue with the husband, she failed her son more so than the husband failed her son. She failed her son because she was the one trying to keep her son away from his authentically black side. She did that.
Remember, she said that the husband was the one, because remember, he wouldn't even call him Jamal. He would only call him Jay, because
that was in her anger. That was her trying to sidetrack and everything. The reason that her son was going out and trying to do all of these things and trying to be, closer to his black side, because the mother kept him in Coral Gables, because the mother said, nope, I'm not going to have you over there, because the mother tried to make sure that he stayed out of where she was from, because the mother said, that's what I got from, that's how I looked at it.
I hear you.
She was the one she to me is the one who failed him, because as opposed to saying, yes, I'm going to make sure you know you're authentically white and know all of that part, but I'm also going to make sure that you know and realize that you are black and so forth. And if the white daddy couldn't have the conversation with the son about how to deal with police officers, guess what? Black mama need to have a conversation.
But she said she did. Remember, she said at the end of the movie.
No, she didn't say she did. She said that is a conversation that has to be had, but she didn't definitely allude to, that's a conversation that I've had with him.
No, she said she said she said that we taught him when he gets pulled over, because she even said that she taught them. She said that. She said she talked to him about it. She did say that.
She said, because she said that she was asking her husband, have you ever had this conversation? What do you do when a cop does this? And blah, blah, blah. And her husband was like, well, no. And she said, because you've never had to, but I had to have that with our son. But I think it was I don't think it was a conversation that she's raised him with. I think it was a conversation that when he started to be overtly black, when he perceived as black, she decided to start to have that conversation with him. But I think but it might have been the night before he left or something like that. You know what I'm saying? I think it was a very recent conversation. I don't think
they share blame. I think both of them failed.
Yeah.
I think so. I think they both failed him. And I'm gonna tell you, in my opinion, the whole time I was looking at that scene between the mother and the father, what kept being blamed in my head, what kept being played in my head was, this is a conversation y'all should have had years ago. The fact that they are sitting there talking about their views on race and talking about their views, even with their child. I mean, how have y'all not talked about these things? How have y'all not had? Because again, here's the issue. I don't have no problem. I'm with El Teddy. You love who you love. I don't have no problem with who you love. But please don't mistake the weight of you dating outside of your race, and don't mistake the responsibility of what you owe your children and what they're going to deal with and what they're going to see. You guys dated, you guys got married, and you brought a child into this world, and y'all are sitting here having a conversation about names and what's important. And I mean, I was sitting here like, I can't believe they are just talking about this.
Because
Go ahead, Mika.
I was like, unfortunately, sometimes as parents, we live in a bubble. We live in a world of, because like my oldest is 21. I literally still remember the night she was born. So sometimes as a parent, we put our parent blinders on and we want to see the world for what it can be and not what it was. That doesn't mean that they were right or they should have stayed there. I absolutely agree with you guys. That's a conversation about him being biracial, about how him identifying with the race, about him identifying with how people want to label him. You know, regardless of him being biracial. I mean, in all honesty, we look at Tiger Woods. We see a black man. He called himself Caucasian because that's how he identifies, but the world sees him as a black man. So I think it's definitely a conversation they should have had with him ongoing from the time that he was younger, within a scope of how he can handle it. So I agree. I think they both failed him in that sense, especially in the area that he grew up in. Just because you grew up in whatever area that was that he's supposed to grow up in.
Coral Gables.
Yes, I've never been there, so I'm assuming the way they said in
it's nice.
It's a very affluential area. So I get that. However, your child still has to go out into the world. When he get out into the world, he's going to see other things besides luxury or proper beings.
Hell, and growing up in Coral Gables is right next to. I mean, across the street is Coconut Grove.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, which is Black neighbor. I mean, Coral Gables originally was all Coconut Grove, built by Bahamian settlers. And when Dade and Julia Tuttle came down and Henry Flagler came down, they took that land from the Black Bahamians and turned it into Coral Gables. And it became an affluent neighborhood. And it was just right next to each other, literally.
Okay. And my experience, I'm sorry, go ahead, Teddy. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying my experience. The reason why I could tell you that as a tourist, see, he's from Florida, from Miami, but as somebody outside of Miami, when I have vacationed in Fort Lauderdale, and you just looking for restaurants, and you looking up restaurants, you Googling and stuff like that. And I remember we Googled and we ended up going to a restaurant in Coral Gables, and it was one of them restaurants. We were like, oh, okay, we know where we are right now. Like $15 for a burger type restaurant. And literally, like he said, literally, we left the restaurant and I think we had to go to like CVS or something like that before we went back to the room. And it was like, what the hell? I mean, it literally changed like that. And like in DC, you can go 2 blocks down the street. You can go from $1 million house to the project in 2 blocks. It was like that.
Turn the corner. Yeah, turn the corner.
Yeah. So that's when he said that. So as a tourist, I found out sort of the hard way just by Googling and driving around like, whoa.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry. Ebby says, I don't think they were just having a conversation. I think this conversation they were rehashing. It felt like they had argued these points with each other before. And I agree, Abby. I think there's something but I don't think it's something they've ever sat down and fully worked out.
Some things I think they talked about. Other things I think they were just maybe just coming to certain realizations might be a better way. Go ahead, Elfetti. Go ahead.
I think that these are conversations that maybe they had, but never had with said child.
Agreed.
That's how I feel. And the reason that I can say that they both definitely the mom failed that child, because See, I can speak to the Miami experience because Miami is unlike most, and she even said that. The dad, I think, even said that in the movie. This is freaking Miami, and not the middle of somewhere. Miami, white people are the minority in Miami. White people make up, I think, about 12% of the population. Hispanics make up about 51, and I think blacks make up 30 something or something like that. So when you live in Miami, you deal with more minorities than you deal with white people. And if you have this child around here thinking that they are above it all and they don't know what it is to be who you are, you failed them. And I think that these conversations that they were having with each other, I wonder if she ever told her son she grew up in the Pork and Beans Project, even though she said Pork and Beans Project. It's the Pork and Bean Projects.
Right.
Has she ever had that conversation with her son? She tried to school the white officer about Miami history with the McDuffie riots when she mentioned Arthur McDuffie, and we had the marriage of McDuffie. But has she had that conversation with her son living in Miami and what it meant? I mean, if you grew up in the Pork and Beans Project, on the edge of the Pork and Beans Project, there's still half of the wall. The wall that used to be, I forgot how many feet high, and it separated blacks from whites in Miami. And they eventually had to they tore down most of it, but half of that wall is still there on the edge of the Pork and Beans Project. Have you explained these things to him so that he knows, yeah, you might be white, but you are black too, and the world, like you said, the world is going to see you as black, especially now that you want to roll around here with cornrows, hanging out with thugs and all of this stuff. And then Scott Projects got towed out back in the 25 years ago. They towed out Scott Projects. Scott Projects have been towed out 25 years, but that's a whole different story. We'll get that.
But I think like you said earlier, El Teddy, I think she married, she moved up, she hit a George and Wheezy, she moved up. I think she tried to remove, and I get it. She worked hard to get out of where she grew up to make a better life for her child. And that's what a lot of people we do. We work hard to make a better life for ourselves, for our kids, and so have you. But I did think she tried harder to forget where she came from. And in doing so, she forgot to relay her story to her son. And for her now, being black has a different experience for her because she's living a different black life.
Even remember, and I didn't mean to cut you off, I'm sorry. Remember when the husband first came there and she kept trying to correct him and she had this whole, attitude about her like, oh.
It's not Wells, it's Wells.
I was like, girl.
And I'm like, you just said
whole, dynamic where she felt she had this elitist mentality. And I can guarantee you that elitist black mentality was siphoned off to her son. I can almost guarantee you that.
Yeah.
Because I'll be honest with you, when she came at him like that, I said, well, no wonder he left your ass. Because, he couldn't get in the door good, and she's correcting his grammar. And I'm thinking to myself, are you serious right now? Like, did you really correct his grammar? And mind you, you had just said ain't, but you really correcting this man's grammar?
Well,
really?
I said ain't for emphasis.
Right. So it was okay. But right. So she justified her doing it. But even going back to you all's point, even that story she told when the McDuffie, and she talked about watching her grandmother doubled over in pain because those officers had been acquitted and you were over on the other side of town, sleep in your comfortable neck. Again, just even that dynamic. Have y'all ever sat down with the young man and explained these are the different worlds that you have merged into one? And I thought that what she said was really good about the face of the race. Because, and I know El Teddy, you've had this experience because you were bussed into, I don't know what the demographic was, but I know you were bussed out of your neighborhood and people looked at you as sort of the representation of whatever. And that is a valid thing. You do need to have those conversations with your kids to say, look, you and 3 other people in the school, y'all the only ones. And yes, all eyes are on you, but on the flip side of it, understanding you don't have to speak for the race, but understand that you are a representative. You know what I'm saying?
I will say this. I think where they mainly failed him as parents is they never sat down. They were too busy fighting amongst each other as opposed to sitting down, because she's telling him stuff about the son that he didn't know that he should have known. And then he's telling her stuff about the son that she didn't know that she should have known, as opposed to y'all were too busy trying to be the better parent, be the closer parent, as opposed to coming down collectively, regardless of what's going on in your relationship, because who you are as a husband should be different than who you are as a dad. And same thing for the wife and mother. Because just because as a husband and wife, y'all aren't getting along right now, doesn't mean you can't come together and work for your child.
Well, just like she told him, she said, "You left him." He said, "No, I left you."
Left you. Yup. Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Whoop," because I was, again, when she said it, that's what I was thinking. I was like, "No, he didn't leave his son. It's clear that he still kept in touch with his son. He said he texts his son every day. He left you."
Mm-hmm. But she wasn't hear that part.
Right.
But again, they should. These are conversations. Again, him growing up. I agree that they should have had with him. And you have conversations with your kid based on not just their age, but their maturity and their level of understanding. If he's old enough to drive a Lexus and go to West Point and possibly carry a gun as a job and things like this, then he was mature enough to have certain conversations, but they were blinded by whatever they were going through at that point.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Teddy.
I think that I'll give you analogy. What happened with this son is like what happens when you have the pastor's kids who they always try to say don't have sex, don't do this, be holy and chaste, and then they get a little bit of freedom and they get buck wild. And so they try to keep the black experience from him. Oh no, you don't know, you need to stay over here with the white folks. We're gonna send you to the school where ain't no other black folks, but we just gonna make it where you can be completely removed from the completeness of the black experience. And then when he started to try to want, because like he said, if I'm gonna be the face of the race, then I need to be familiar with what I'm talking about. And when he did start to try and make those trips, what did he do? He did like the pastor kids that as soon as they get their freshman year in college, now they have to have 3 abortions in that freshman year. Okay? And so he went out there and decided, I'm getting with the most hood of the hood. I got a little money and they're going to hang around me because I got a little change in my pocket. And so I can and I'm riding in the Lexus. So they're going to want to ride with me too. And they're going to help me assimilate. And they're going to help me, be down and learn a full black experience so I can really be the face of the race.
Yeah, and you're right. He didn't go for, Jamal didn't go for James, Paul, and Tyrone. He went for Snooki,
Okay, Pookie, Ray Ray.
Juba. What you say, Juba? His name Juba.
Yeah, that's what he went for.
So, what was your first reaction when that video played? What was the first reaction?
Okay, so I don't know if I blinked or what, but did it actually show us the video or just show their reaction to the video?
It only showed their reaction. It never showed the video. They showed the snippets where you would see like the police officer walking behind the car with the footstep, but they never showed the video.
Right, yeah, they never showed the actual video, yeah.
Because I was just my intrigue. I was kind of hoping, but I understand at the end of the movie why they didn't show it, but at that present time, I was hoping to see the video. But I think that's when her bubble got burst, Teddy. When her whole "my son don't have this, he don't do this, he don't da. When they show her that video, I think it kind of hit her like, oh damn, you know what I'm saying? That she had to not only admit that she didn't know her son as well as she thought she did, that her lies had came, to fruition in the sense of, oh dad, he does do this, because that's when that bumper sticker came out, and then she had to be like, oh damn, yeah, the bumper sticker,
right? So, and the fact that she knew that bumper sticker was on the car.
Yeah. First of all, you're not gonna put a fucking bumper sticker on my car. Let's just start there. I'm anti bumper sticker. I'm sorry. But again, her not accepting her blackness. You are an 18-year-old black male riding around in a car that's not in your name with a bumper sticker.
In a white man's name. Let's be in a white man's name.
That says shoot police officers. And granted, it said shoot police officers with your camera. As the officer said,
it's somebody saying and all that.
You gotta be up on it. So now I did feel some kind of way, because if it was a white kid, same car with the same bumper sticker, would police officer pull them over?
But then when you hear the whole story, Now, again, regardless of whether that story is true or not, but when you hear the whole story that the police officer said he watched them make a drug buy and then pulled them over. Now, I don't know if it's true or not. We get that deep. But when you hear the whole story, you say, well, it wasn't just a random, oh, you forgot to put on your turn signal at the light type of thing. You know, I don't, you know, I feel like when the first thing I felt when I saw that video was like when she started yelling at the guy again, talking about he was calling them nigga. And I'm like, it was very clear to me that the person saying nigga was the person making the video. I never thought that it was the police officer calling them a nigga. I never thought that. Because it was so loud, it was so intense, it was so close. It had to be something closer to the camera would be the person recording. That's when I knew, and when that video came out, that's when I knew that everybody knew what happened and they were handling them until they could get their story straight. Because how in the world did his uncle, brother, whoever get a copy of that video? That's when I knew. I said, oh, they're just handling them right now because they know exactly. And you saw the guy's response. Where'd you get that from? Where'd you get that from? And he never said, what is it? He said, where'd you get it from? Right. Go ahead, El Teddy.
I mean, like I told y'all, I had gotten off of Kerry Washington's character so early on. So from this point on out, so many things kept unraveling that she, you know, had to backpedal and pussy pop on, and so many things kept coming out, and he was like, girl. I mean, I had a whole conversation with the one word, girl.
She just, like, I mean, she just, oh my God.
And so I couldn't help but be more sympathetic to the original police officer because she was, to me, for all her intelligence that she wanted us to believe. When you go to the police station and ask, and they tell you, oh, I don't know nothing, they're not taking you to go sit downstairs in some little room, boo-boo, so you can wait for them. That's not how that works. They're going to be like, sweetheart, go back over there. You can go wait in the lobby. Sit on down there. If I find something, I'll let you know. If I don't find nothing, you might want to go home. But you should have knew at the moment that they told you to come your butt downstairs and sit over here by yourself. Now, the only time that I really felt that it was really messed up is the water fountain part, which I thought was gratuitous. I thought that was real gratuitous for them to just throw that in there because I was like, but I don't kind of, you know.
It was out of sync. It just didn't even make sense.
Right. It just was gratuitous. I was like, why?
They were trying to show his lack of sensitivity. In that moment, he thought he was being good. He was counting his black friends. He thought he had him, so he's going to be helpful because now I done comforted her. I done made her feel calm. Let me just share some history. Oh, and by the way, we have this and this and this. And he sent her on a damn sightseeing tour. And guess what? Oh, interesting fact. We have 2 water fountains because, oh shit, that's right, I forgot. And he had to fall back into himself. He got that.
No, I don't think he fell back. I think he did that intentionally. I think she had to got under his skin, and he said, "Oh, you want to do me like this? Whoa, whoa, whoa! You're thirsty? Going on down there. It's 2 of them." And then because then he said, "Oh yeah, and there's a plaque above it where you can read and be reminded of what this is all about." He knew exactly what he was doing. He did it purposely.
So, I think I took that as you have that person who is awkward and they think that they're saying something. Oh yeah, that would be great for you to learn about your history. Because that happens to me all the time. And I'll be like, dude, if you don't go sit your ass down somewhere. Yeah. So, okay, I want to try to keep this to an hour. So let's go ahead and talk about the entrance of Mr. Inspector Gadget, the last character that we see, the black man that comes through. Now,
the public officer or whoever he was supposed to be.
Now, I have my feelings about him. Now, let me say this. I personally felt like I'm torn because a part of me was like, yup, get his ass. Because he putting his hands on him like he don't, like if it was a black man, he'd be in cuffs. Yeah, get him. But then there was a part of me that was like, you got to know that these parents are on edge. They've been sitting here all night waiting to find out what's going on with their child. And you know good and damn well what happened to their child. So a part of me was sort of like, get him. Yep. He, you know, how dare he be so arrogant to think he could just rough up a police officer and da-da-da-da-da. But then the other side of me was like, but you got to understand where they are right now and how emotional they are in this moment. So I don't know. Y'all tell me. I'll start with El Teddy this time and then I'll go to me.
I was on the black man's side completely. And
Okay.
honestly.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Because there's no understanding. I understand you've been down there for a long time. I understand you're upset. But that doesn't give you the right to start, getting out of pocket with somebody who's coming to help you. The man didn't do anything wrong. He came down there to have a conversation. And now you trying to rough up somebody. No. And just like every black person in America is expected, not asked, expected and demanded to keep it in order. You are expected and demanded to keep it in order as well. He better be glad, like the man said, he better be glad he still ain't in jail. It was out of source and out of pocket. And then Kerry Washington, with her backpedaling and pussy popping, one moment she fighting with the husband because she all mad. The next moment she ready to kill people because they try to throw the husband in jail because he was out of pocket. Make it make sense.
Because he was still her husband and her boo thing. Wait a minute, El Teddy. If he had been some random white man, she'd have been all for it. She'd have been like, yup, put him in cuffs. But because that's her boo thing, that's why. Go ahead, Mink. What you think?
Twofold. When a guy walked in, I still honestly was not 100% sure where the son was or what had happened to him. But when he walked in, I knew that they knew whatever the son was, that they knew for sure. And they were covering up. And that's for me what solidified that they knew what had happened to her son because of the way he simply walked into that room. Now, second part, the husband. Honestly, you've been soft-pawing this police officer the whole entire time, had him bringing you coffee, being nice about it, whatever the case may be. And you were very cordial to this police officer who not too long ago called your wife a bitch. At the time, he didn't know it was your wife, but he did call her a bitch. And you still kind of was courteous to him. But the minute the higher ranking officer, who's a black man, walked in, then her white husband showed his caucasity and tried to show his ass and got.
What's that word again?
Caucasity.
Caucasity. I like it. El Teddy, put that on the board. Caucasity. Can you spell that?
Oh, I can spell it. Oh, I can.
I like that.
So, yeah. So that's when, honestly, with the husband, I was like, see, you
caucasity.
You had no problem with the white man and there it is. Thank you, baby. Thank you. You had no problem whatsoever to being kind and following the rules behind the white officer. But the minute a black man in power, a higher ranking guy walked in, now you want to show your ass. Now you want to play, oh, I'm FBI, I'm this, I can do this, I can do that. Why? Where did all this energy come from all of a sudden? And your wife has said to you, you talking to me this way, but you coddling him. And now you want to break back brass balls when you find out it's a black man in charge. That part now with the black guy himself, I was a little bit taken aback by him.
Yeah, I wasn't feeling him either. I wasn't feeling him.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm still kind of like.
I'm gonna tell you why I was feeling him. I was feeling him because he knew that the mama and the daddy is lying, trying to paint a picture of something that was not.
Now that's true.
Watch this.
That's
true. Watch this. On the after show where we go off, I'm gonna give y'all another story, and y'all gonna know. I can't say it on screen. Put that out there, but I'm gonna tell y'all when we get off. Go ahead.
Okay. Now the one thing that now this question about the black guy, I wrote it down. I wrote it down because I said I want to make sure where I write it down. Well, I remember what it was anyway. No, I remember what it was, but I did write it down because it hit me as someone who understands the position that I'm in when I get pulled over by the police. As much as I might want to have an attitude or whatever. But when he said, you have no rights when you get pulled over, you have no rights. How did y'all feel about that part of it? Because I disagree. I think yes, I understand that as a police officer, you don't know what you rolling up on. And as a police officer, you have to stay cautious. But at the end of the day, you still the one with the bulletproof vest. You still the one with the authority. And you're pulling me over because I failed to put on a turn signal. Yeah, I'm not saying I'm going to cuss you out, but we're going to have a conversation. So I don't necessarily, I didn't agree with that, but y'all tell me what y'all thought of that, because I wrote that down because I was like, wait a minute.
No, I don't agree. I have all my rights. And yes, you're coming with a bulletproof vest. You come in with a Glock with 12 in the rounds and one in the chamber with your hand at your hip ready, simply because you saw my beautiful blackness. And that does not mean because you think I broke the law, because I've gotten into an argument with police officers. Because you think I broke the law does not mean that I've actually broke the law. And yes, it is a conversation to be had. Now, I'm not going to be overly aggressive, be like, officer, this and that, and the third, because again, you ain't shooting my ass. I'm sorry, it's just not going to happen. However, it does not mean I have to sit there, oh, yes, sir, no, sir, oh, sir, I saw it, sir.
Yeah, that's how, okay.
That ain't going to happen either.
All right, as a black man, El Teddy, how'd that hit you?
What happened was this. When that black man knew that she was married to this white law enforcement officer, he went the same place I went. He looked at her and said, now, wait a damn minute. Because she tried to school him and make it look like he was the problem. And he was trying to tell her, hey, sweetheart, cut the shit. Cut the bullshit. Because I'm just as black as you are. And for all this, you trying to give this white officer, no, boo, I'm just as black as, well, I grew up in the poker. That's what she said. I grew up in the poker. I grew up in Overtown. So what? What does that mean? She was like,
shout out to David Makes Man, because I knew what that was. Shout out to David Makes Man.
But, and that's why he said, and so you never had this conversation with your son, and he black? No, you are the problem. And he knew. I think what he did was he had to take himself out of the role of just being police officer and remind him as a black man what it means to be a black man. And so that's why he was having that hard conversation with her, because she tried to make it like, oh, you believe she tried to loop him up or with all of the rest of the law enforcement, negating the fact that, oh no, he is a black man and he does know and understand that whole experience. So that's why he had to be curt with her, and he had to, because she needed to be slapped back into reality. She was out of control at that point. Her emotions were out of control, and if he could have slapped her, he probably would have, because she had to be brought back down to reality. He knew what he had to tell her too. He knew what he had to tell her, and so all of this, that, and the third. That's why he ain't arrested white man, because he knew that they had done killed that boy. The boy was dead at the scene. The boy was dead at the scene.
Okay, so now we're gonna get into the end.
I guess you're just gonna tell us the end. I was trying to build up, but that's okay. I'll tell you. You just
okay. Well, wait a minute.
Go ahead. Me.
Betty White made a comment a while ago about they were from the hood and they won't go back, and I do agree with that. I think I was hood adjacent. I'm not quite sure. I think I was hood adjacent. But no, I won't go back. I live in the suburbs now. I won't move my.
No, you don't. No. You don't live in the suburbs. You live in the woods. I live in the suburbs. You 30 minutes past me. You live in the woods.
Hey, captivating Christian.
Hey, captivating.
Hey, wait a minute. You're doing a lot of flirting over here with my boo.
I'm sorry.
Oh, she said was
I know. Let me.
Didn't your boo check you last night? You sit over there and calm down.
But no, you know what? So I agree. I grew up hood adjacent, whatever you want to call it. I grew up in Northeast DC. I wouldn't bring my kids there, but don't mean I forgot what it's like to be there. Don't mean I haven't told my kids of what it's like and why we continue to work hard. Don't mean I don't take my kids and say, this is where we grew up. Like we do tours every once in a while to go check out the old neighborhood to say, look, this is what we've been, what we've done and whatever. And they have to make their own decision. And I have honest conversations with my kids about growing up the way their dad and I grew up, where we grew up, how we grew up. And how people perceive us as Black people. It's an ongoing conversation. It's not a one-time event. I have a 21-year-old, I have a 14-year-old. So it's an ongoing conversation about what it's like to be Black for us, because the Black experience is a vast thing. It's not just a one-person experience. Not over the river. Oh, shut up, face. But yeah, so I think she did. I think she tried to completely and utterly erase all that, thinking that her son was Orange Grove. What were they at?
Coconut Grove.
Coconut Grove. I'm sorry.
They were in Coral Gables. They lived in Coral
Gables. I don't think she ever thought her son was going to leave the gates of Coral Gables. That he was going to be there, marry somebody from Coral Gables, raise his family, and that's where she felt her son.
Like his father said, and when his father said it, it sort of pissed me off. But then I was like, he right. He was like, "What Black friends? We know all of his Black friends."
He had one. He had one.
Like they've been the same one since preschool. They went to the same prep elementary school, the same prep middle school, the same prep high school. It's the same 5 Black families that live where we live. We know them. And that friend wasn't having the same experience because his ass is over in Europe someday where they said vacationing with his family. So he wasn't trying to be Black either. In that sense of he was trying to keep and go on about his business. So Jamal, I think where they failed Jamal again, I believe it was both. I'm not gonna put solely on the mother. That's a lot of weight to put on. I think it was both of them.
Yeah, but I think with the father, because remember she said something to him when he was correcting his grammar about him being country.
Yeah,
the father ain't grow up
trailer park or something like that, didn't she? Did she say country? Yeah, she called him like country or whatever. So they both didn't grow up the way they were raising their son, and that's how they both failed him because they were raising him again in this bubble. But I think with the father, when he was like, oh, wait a minute, he has explained Blackness to all the white kids at his school. You're married to a Black woman. You have a Black son. You never decided to dig deep than that to find out what was going on in the Black world. And I think that's where he fell because at that moment, he was shocked and flabbergasted, he was discombobulated because he was saying why his son was explaining being Black. So they both lost connection with their son. And but I will say this, and this is the part where I will agree with El Teddy on. If I was gonna put more weight on one than the other, I would put more weight from the point of view of Kerry Washington because you were with him every day and you saw the change every day. And even going back to that damn bumper sticker, she said, "I wish I had just ripped it off." That's exactly what you should have done. You should have took your happy ass before he left the neighborhood. It's bad enough that when Black boys get pulled over just driving a nice car. Now you're going to add, and she said, well, white people get to do it. Well, you know what? We know that.
Right. Yeah.
We know that.
But that's that world she wants to live in.
But that's it. We've got to stop teaching our kids about the world we want to live in and start teaching them the reality of the world we live in and hope that we give them enough foundation that they will strive toward becoming a better world. But you can't teach them about La La Land when they don't live there. It doesn't work. So you let that boy tell me, well, I told him not to go anywhere till we talked about the bumper sticker. What? He's 18. He doesn't have to wait for you to tell him anything.
And first of all, like that police officer said, ma'am, that's not even your car. So you couldn't even tell him if you wanted to. Oh, nope. Where you going in that car? He'll be like, it ain't yours. You ain't buy it.
No. See, now I'm not gonna lie. Now, as a parent, I dispute that because I wish my kids would try. You're gonna wake up and get birthday because this is how I view it. I'm not even gonna get to the point of she should have taken a bumper sticker off the car. I never would allow the bumper sticker to get on the car. The minute he bought that shit in the house, it would have got shredded and thrown the fucking in the trash, because we're not going to do that. I don't care whether your father's an officer. I don't care how you discovering your blackness. I don't care what's going on.
That's what I'm saying. It would have come off. It would have been.
No, I'm saying that would have went on. It should never went on.
Well, you can't control whether he put it on there or not, but you can damn sure control what. I know you like to think so, Mink. I know you like to think so, but you can't control if it's going to get put on there or not. Now, you can control it coming off.
Yeah. But the other thing about it is,
you can't put on what you don't have.
I think that one of the other things that they were realizing was they were on the verge of losing him anyway. And I think the mother realized that much more than the father did. And
that's
so
true.
The mother, I think, in those last couple of days was trying to coddle him or trying to figure out in her brain, okay, how, because remember, she has these degrees in psychology and all this stuff. And so she was grappling with, okay, what am I going to do and what am I going to say in order to reel him back in? And unfortunately, time ran out. And the thing about it is, the other thing that I wanted to bring up was when I think it was the black officer that reminded her real fast, oh, you want to act like you all this, that, and the third, and you let this white boy come and snatch you all up and make you forget. And that's when she went back and asked him, well, why did you talk to me at the party? And in my mind, I was like, you know why he talked to you, because you was a nubile Nubian princess. You was like a little toy that his friends couldn't have and he could have, and he wanted to be able to show you off, because that was something that made him a little more exclusive and made him a little more different than the rest of his white friends. I'm just
for me that's the scene they could have kept. They could have kept that scene, but anyway, because that whole scene, I was like, again, if you don't know about whatever, they could have kept that. Now we see the inspector come back in with his notebook where they done put together all of this stuff, and he reads to them the incident report.
Well prepared.
Well, very well prepared. As he's reading the incident report, what we are learning is that everything that Kerry Washington told us or thought she knew about her son was not true. Her son was first of all, the son was even letting somebody else drive the damn car. Okay,
He was a passenger in the back of his own car.
In the back of his own damn car. Who had warrants? They made because the movie ended, we can only go by what they told us. Who made a drug sale, so they was smoking some weed. When the police pulled him over, because had he stayed his ass in the car, he'd have been all right. But when the police pulled him over, one guy gets out the car, it becomes a situation. Second guy gets out the car, it becomes a situation. By the time the third guy gets out the car, and that police officer is still by himself, still not knowing whether there are any weapons or what's going on, he shoots. And one guy's running away from the scene.
Yeah, so the driver got out first.
Right.
Then the passenger got out.
And he was trying to handcuff the one person, and then the second
trying to handcuff the driver.
Right.
Yeah. When the front seat passenger got out. And then
that's
Jamal gets out the back. He gets out the back.
We hear in the video with the guy saying, no, man, get down. He's not talking to Jamal. He's talking to the other guys running away. Now, with all of that being said, again, we only can go by what we, because that's where it ends. With all of that being said, I know in that moment, obviously I felt bad about the conclusion, but in that moment, I was like, what the fuck was he thinking? Why would he get out the car? If you really had those conversations that you claim you had,
and that's why I'm saying she never had that conversation with that child. She could not make me believe that. She's been lying the whole movie. So, I didn't mean to cut you off. If the dad is saying that he don't remember her having the conversations with him, that means that if she did have the conversation with him, it was in a very recent past.
The police said in the report, Jamal got out the back seat
and put his hands on the hood.
And he put his hands on the front of the hood.
So that's why I feel like the conversation was had, because he was showing his hands and he was standing in a non-threatening stance. So from that point of view, I feel like the conversation was had. But my thing is, you should have never got out the damn car.
He didn't understand, because again, in his mind, I have to show that I'm compliant, because I think in that moment, from Jamal's point of view, everything his mom may have told him in recent conversations was, let me show that I'm non-threatening, even though my appearance says nothing about that. Like she said, from what her description, he was tall, he was kind of, a nice, healthy sized guy. So he tried to show himself as a non-threatening, but I agree with you, Classic. He should have stayed his ass in the car, but he still might have been seen as a threat, but he would have been safer in the car because.
And he probably was going to get arrested, but it would have been, but at least he would have been alive to have the conversation. He probably was going to get arrested.
Yeah, because the thing about it is, at this point, he didn't know what was going to happen, between Pookie and Rollo. Pookie and Rollo was about to run. Rollo had ran. Rollo was in the ring. Pookie was on the ground getting arrested. So he's trying to disassociate himself from these two, but he should have never hooked up with him because apparently he didn't have the spirit to be with them.
No, he wasn't about that life. Well, we know he wasn't about that life. That's kind of like
but he didn't know it.
You ain't really about that life.
But he didn't know it. He didn't.
And it makes you wonder how he even met these guys. Like, how did you even meet these dudes?
I told you how it went down.
No, you didn't. Tell me.
I told you. I think the grandma probably still stayed in the hood, right? But remember, I told you he went and found him some hood people. He had some money and he had the car.
I know that, but I'm saying, how did you find them is what I'm saying. I'm saying, how did you just meet these dudes?
Her family from the Beans. Her family is from the Beans, okay? All he had to do was go to his relative's house.
Okay. All right.
And they were like, the Beans is not far from where the Scots used to be.
Right.
The old Scots used to start on about 65th, around 66, and it went all the way to 79th. Well, not 79th Street. It stopped at 77th Street.
Okay.
The Beans start on 62nd Street and stops at about 67th Street. You looking at me like, I don't know what. I say that because they say they pulled them over on 79th Street. That's where all this took place. And 79th Street is a big thoroughfare in Miami. That's technically the border of the city.
I just remember something that wasn't in my groceries. Damn it.
So, and the last thing I want to make, another thing that I didn't like that they wrote in there that wasn't that believable. You're not having nobody get shot on 79th Street and it not be all over the city of Miami. 79th Street is a major thoroughfare. I mean, that's the whole stroll part of 79th Street. T.S. Madison tell you that because I'm just being honest.
No, I
believe it's major. It is. Part of it, I should say. So if anything happens on 79th Street, it's gonna be a camera. Somebody gonna see it. It ain't going without a whole lot of people, already know it. So that might be how the brother got word, because nothing ain't happening on 79th Street without people knowing.
Well, now, they missed all of that because since he did not come home, she's been at the police station, locked away, isolated, only trying to find her son. So she didn't even think that's happening to the news.
Yeah, but just like the brother sent the video, somebody could have sent her the video, but I feel you. So, I mean, if you don't know, again, like I said, there's spoilers. But we found out that the son was killed instantly by a bullet. Again, they don't know whether it was a ricochet or whatever.
Bullshit. Because if he got his hands on the car, on the hood of the car. So most people put your hand on the car, you kind of put your head down while all this going on. So you got your hand on the car, you standing there, you trying to say life threat with your arm, with your legs spread, all this other stuff. And then, Rollo decides to run. So Pookie on the ground, Rollo running, and Jamal got his hands on a hot. What fucking ricochet? What a ricochet.
Well, let's be clear. If there were ever to be a part 2, which I think a part 2 to this would be
show what happened.
Investigation and maybe a wrongful death suit and what would come out in a trial. Because do I believe that story, all of that story? Hell no. I do not believe that that's exactly how it went down. And I think that a part 2 to this would be the other side, like once we go to trial, because we know that more comes out in trial and what types of things, the cover-ups and all that. I think that would be a great sequel. But
I'm gonna tell you what happened. Rollo went to run. Jamal turned around. Rollo, hey, don't run. Officer by himself, pulled out his gun. He shot Jamal because he was closer, and then shot Rollo ass. And that's what happened. And then they went back in the back and tried to get their story together and came up with the word ricochet. It wasn't intentional.
Well, they clearly was somewhere in a room putting that story together for them 3-4 hours that they were sitting in that damn waiting room. I mean, that's clear. All right, so El Teddy, any final thoughts? Mink, was that your final thoughts, us telling us your version of the story?
Yeah.
Okay. El Teddy, final thoughts?
My final question for you all is,
how did teacher give homework anyway? El Teddy giving homework like he's somebody teaching. But go ahead.
I'm asking y'all a question.
That's homework.
You can't be the only one asking questions over there yawning and shit. But
I'm
anyway,
you. It's your fault that I'm yawning.
Whatever. Does it change anything for you with the officer being black that committed this atrocity?
No. What I do think is that it lent more validity to the story that the guy was telling, that the inspector was saying about the fear that police officers have whenever they approach a car, and the fear that police officers have when they're in certain parts of town.
So would you not believe that there was fear?
Because you're black doesn't mean you're not prejudiced.
Yeah, I think unfortunately for black officers, when they put the suit on, they do become blue lives and not black lives. And I don't envy any black officer that's in uniform, because I do think their what I'm looking for? It's Sunday. Their accountability or their onus to one. I think they have to choose whether they're black or blue. So I'm not like it did just surprise me when I first heard it, but when they came back and kind of played it a little bit through gave more insight to the final moments of their son, I was just like, okay, it's another officer.
Yeah, and like I said, just because you black doesn't mean you're not prejudiced. You have the same prejudices when you see. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, and I've said this to my students. I've been by myself walking down the street in DC on my way to a club or on my way back to my car, and if I see a group of black boys walking down the street in the middle of the night with their hair braided, being loud, pants hanging off their ass, I will cross the street. So call me what you want. I'll cross the street. So I'm prejudiced when it comes to certain things. And when I'm in, now those same group of black boys could be walking towards me in the middle of the afternoon and I ain't got no issue. But in the middle of the night, I'm crossing the street.
A mess.
So
I might go over there to the black boys.
Okay, That's great. Like I said, now during the day, you would get a different reaction. But in the middle of the night and I'm by myself, nah. I'm crossing the street, player. But let me say this. If it were that same group of white kids, I'm still crossing the street. You know what I'm saying? If it was the same group of white kids looking crazy, being loud in the middle of the night, so maybe I'm prejudiced to young kids out in the middle of the night. I don't know, but whatever.
Yeah, but captivating Christian, I agree. The officer culture is a problem. I agree with that. I agree.
And I agree with that, captivating Christian. So look, you guys, I'm going to go ahead. We're going to wrap this up. I thank you for coming on in. I thank y'all for y'all insight and y'all honesty and your time. El Teddy had us up to 4:00 in the morning for no good damn reason. And
don't blame me. Captivating Christian is the one who came on late, and then we had to end up staying on later because he came in so late.
Don't blame Captivating Christian. He was having that. No, Captivating Christian, don't worry about that. I enjoyed you, boo. It was worth me losing sleep because I enjoy you. I enjoy you.
You act like you had a problem. You show acting like you had a problem.
I had a problem with you.
Always me. See, I do all the heavy lifting. All the blame always goes on me. That's fine. I got it. I got broad shoulders.
Anyway. Thank y'all. We're going to go ahead and shut this down. Everybody have a great Sunday afternoon. I got some papers to grade and some clothes to wash, honey. And they done messed up my groceries, so I got called over to the grocery store. They ain't bring me something.
Well, wait. Okay, so we're leaving. So thank you, everybody. Yes. Shout out to Kerry Washington, Jeremy Jordan, who played the officer, Steve Pascal, who played the husband, and Eugene Lee, who played the communication or community outreach officer at the end.
Am I the only one who really wanted to see what the sun looked like?
Yes, I did too.
I did too. I wanted to know what the sun looked like.
Yeah.
I
did
that.
too.
I needed that in my, to help finish it out for me.
Yeah,
yes,
I kind of wish I had, because from the description, I kind of have an idea in my head. But yeah, I kind of wish I had seen them. But like I said, and maybe I'll hit Kerry Washington her DMs, because I think a great sequel would be what happens after, not the funeral and all that, but what happens, because they're the type of people that would fall a wrongful death suit. They're the type of people that would put an inquiry.
I wouldn't want to see that. I would want to see the sequel being the son's point of view.
That's what I want to see.
Oh, you know what?
That's what I want to see.
I want to see.
That would be good.
From the time, it should start off from the time him and his mom have that argument and he leaves, up to the point where,
that would actually be, and then it could be the same concept where it's only 4 people. It's him, the 2 guys in the car, and the police officer at the end.
Yeah.
That would actually be okay. I need you to write that treatment. Write that treatment. We can send it on over to Kerry Washington. Maybe I should private this video so don't nobody steal your idea. All right, y'all. Everybody have a good Sunday afternoon, and we will.
Okay, we're not leaving because El Teddy has to tell us something. Remember?
Yeah, I'm just shutting this down.
All right. Thanks, everybody.